Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the MDI Survey Administration training webinar. It's 3:15, so I just want to start and make sure that we respect everybody's time. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. We actually have more than 150 people register for this webinar, so we might be a big group later on. We're just waiting for everybody else to log in. We have people joining us from the East Coast, from Yukon, from Northwest Territories, and of course from BC schools. And we also have some independent schools joining us today. So welcome everybody. I know that most of you are familiar with Zoom webinar, but just in case you are not, you should see this toolbar at the very bottom of your window. With us being a big group today, everyone is muted, so please use the chat function if you're experiencing any kind of issues with the webinar. If you can't hear us, if the slides are, you can't view the slides, please let us know. If you have any questions regarding the presentation, please type in your questions in the Q&A section, and Merit will attend to those as we go along in the presentation. All right, so before we begin, we would like to, of course, introduce ourselves. My name is Kim Mascarenas. I am one of the project leads at HELP for the MDI. I am here along with our MDI team, my colleagues, Merit Gilbert. She's also one of the project leads at HELP. And of course, our very new and lovely project coordinator, Amanda. So this is her first webinar as well. So we also want to welcome Amanda. So today's webinar is going to take approximately about 40 to 45 minutes. And again, any questions regarding MDI or regarding the presentation, please type them in the Q&A, and Merit will be monitoring that for us, and she will be answering questions as we go along. We're recording the webinar today, so if ever you can't finish it or you have to attend to anything else, we'll make sure that next week we'll provide you with the link so that you can replay and rewatch it anytime that's convenient for you. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to make sure that I have my video off so that you can see all of my slides. Okay, so this is our webinar overview for today. So first, we want to go through a bit of an MDI overview, sort of like an MDI 101, if you will. We realize that most of you are logged in today because you want to learn more how to administer the MDI in your schools, but also many of you are new to the MDI. So we just want to make sure that we give you a quick background on what the MDI is. Next, we'll go through the steps to MDI administration in your schools. And of course, at the very end, we'll make sure we'll leave a few minutes room for questions. Merit and I, together with Amanda, we're your MDI help desk, and we love hearing from you. So please don't hesitate to be in touch if you have any questions. We're only a phone call or an email away, and I'm sure some of you are already familiar with Merit and myself. We probably have spoken on the phone or maybe had emails back and forth. We appreciate connecting with all of you, so please don't hesitate to connect with us if ever you have any questions about the MDI. So before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge that HELP and UBC are located at the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Musqueam people. We offer our sincere appreciation and gratitude to the Musqueam Nation for allowing us to do our work and study each day on their traditional territory. I know we're gathered from different places for this webinar, so please take a moment to also consider the Indigenous lands that each of you are working and living on. All right, so who are we, what is HELP, and what do we do? So HELP is Human Early Learning Partnership, It's a collaborative interdisciplinary research network that is based at the University of British Columbia, or UBC, and we focus on child development. Our vision, one that connects all of us, is all children thriving in healthy societies. So with a brief overview of MDI, we want to start with, I'm sure some of you are familiar with. So at HELP, this is our child development monitoring system. It is a system that we use to collect data about children's experiences and development, which is a series of questionnaires that gather information from different perspectives of children from pre-kindergarten through to grade 11. But for today, we will be focusing on the MDI, or the Middle Years Development Instrument. So what is the MDI? So the MDI is a self-report survey for children in grades 4 to 8. And since 2020, we have started offering the MDI to grades 5, 6, and 8, in addition to grades 4 and 7. And we found that really many schools and districts have taken up this offer. And why do we want to focus on these grades? This is a time which is between the ages of 9 to 13. That's really a transitional period in development for children. We know that there's increased risk at this time, but also it's an increased opportunity for us to make a difference in their lives. These ages are particularly important to be able to prevent problems before they arise in the future. The MDI was developed by a UBC research team led by Dr. Kimberly Schoenert-Reichel, with considerable input, of course, from children and parents and teachers, community groups, including United Way of Lower Mainland. And these questions were assembled from surveys that are already previously used and validated with children. What makes the MDI unique is that it reflects children's voices. Their input gives us data that we couldn't otherwise access, right? So their thoughts, their feelings, their daily routines. The MDI tells children that what they believe matters to us and that their answers can help us make changes to support their own well-being. Children, they feel very much empowered when they are confident that their thoughts and their perspectives are taken seriously by the adults in their lives. The self-report nature of the MDI also upholds Article 12 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child. MDI is a population-based survey. So this means they tell us about groups, about neighborhoods, and broader geographic regions. It allows us to see population trends in children's well-being, and it is never used to evaluate teachers or schools. And why is this important? Why is the MDI important? As I've said, it allows us to see trends in how children are doing over time. The results that we get in the MDI provides educators, parents, community organizations, and even policymakers with information about the psychological and social worlds of children during middle childhood. This is a time period in which we really didn't have a lot of information before, and this is part of the reason why MDI was actually developed. As I've said, because this is a transitional time in their development, not only physically that they're entering puberty, but also cognitively, they're becoming more self-aware of themselves and others. Socially, they're beginning to expand their connections with their peers, and academically, they begin receiving grades and facing pressure to succeed. So what happens in the middle years of these children, it sets them up on how they want or how they can handle adolescence and adulthood in the future. We know also from research on resiliency that relationships are central to children's healthy development. So relationships and connections with peers, with adults at home, at school, and community, they're all part of the MDI measure. We also look at everything in multiple contexts. So we ask children about their lives, both inside and outside of school. So the information is not only relevant to the schools, but also to communities and families. We look at the development of the whole child. So in a very holistic view, the MDI gives us insight into areas that have great significance in children's lives. It's not just evaluating academic progress, The MDI gives children an opportunity to communicate their experiences, their feelings, and their wishes. The MDI measures areas of development strongly linked to well-being, as you can see, and they are called the MDI dimensions. We're not going to spend a lot of time looking at each of the dimensions today, but Amanda is able to share a link with you so that you can learn more about the MDI dimensions in your own time. That website has all the information about the MDI dimensions if ever you're interested to read them. Of course, we strive to make sure that the MDI is current, that it is scientifically rigorous, and that the information that we collect on the survey reflects the experiences and perspectives of today's children and youth. So one piece of good news that we have this year, our survey is shorter. So we have removed a few questions while of course still maintaining coverage across the 5 dimensions of the MDI. So if you're familiar with the MDI, now the grades 6, 7, 8 survey used to be 101 items. We now cut it down to 79 questions. The grade 4 survey from 77 items, we have cut it down now to 71 items. So if you are interested to see those questions, they are available in the instructional surveys, resources that are available to you. We'll look at them a little bit later in the slides. So some of the things that were also revised is the out of school section for the questionnaire. So we have broadened the time frame in which we ask children about their organized and free time activities. So before we used to ask them only after school period, which is from 3 to 6 p.m. And now that has been broadened to any time outside of school. So as we are now doing also MDI in grade 8, I know most of you are familiar with this. Many of the activities actually take place after dinner. So we want to make sure that we also capture that. We removed references to the 3 to 6 time frame when asking children about what they do outside of school, but we still ask the children where they go after school within those time frames. So if you're interested in that kind of data, that is still captured in the questionnaire. Of course, we did not just remove questions without also adding some new ones. We strive to make sure that it's current. So this year, we added some questions on daily physical activity, climate and environmental concerns, and social media use for grades 6 and 7 and 8. So that's something that I'm also personally really interested in. We also added questions on racial and ethnic background to the demographic section for the surveys for 6, 7, and 8. And we know that race and ethnicity is really an important component of personal identity. The race and ethnicity question has been piloted in the same age group by Dr. Kim Shonut-Reichel just last year. So this slide is just to show you, like, for how many years, more than 10 years of MDI being out there in our communities. It has grown so much. This year, actually, we have 37 school districts participating. We have a lot of independent schools participating. We have schools from Yukon and Northwest Territories as well participating. So it has really grown over the years. Right, so that was just a brief outline of what the MDI is. I know you're all here to learn about the how-to, so let's just dive in and look at the steps to MDI administration in your schools. So a couple of key messages to start us off. The privacy of children, families, and teachers are very important for us. All the information that is collected is, of course, kept confidential and used for statistical purposes only. All the information is kept at help, and no child or teacher is ever identified in any of our reporting. And of course, very important, participation is voluntary for teachers, for parents, and for students. So parents receive the information letter, or what we call parent letters, 4 weeks prior to survey administration. And this letter outlines the details of MDI participation. And this is also a way for them to choose to withdraw if they don't want their child to participate in the survey, by contacting the classroom teacher or returning the withdrawal form or the withdrawal slips that you can find at the last page of the parent letter. Parents are also able to email us directly if they want to withdraw their child. Lastly, students may opt out at any time, even after they complete the survey. So within the beginning of the survey, we have an assent script that is read out loud at the beginning. And this outlines all of the options for the students, right? So we also have a withdrawal button that can be found at the bottom of each page of the survey. So even though they are in the middle of writing the survey, if they change their mind and they want to withdraw, they're able to do so just by clicking this button. Of course, to assist with providing information to parents and answering questions they may have, we have a parent FAQ page for the most commonly asked questions, a great resource not only for parents, but also for school staff, for principals, and for teachers. And I know Amanda will be sharing that link with you in the chat so that you can see it. And of course, if parents have any further questions about the survey, about the MDI, they can also contact us directly. Aside from that, one other resource that we have is the MDI questions brief. So this brief serves two purposes. So number one, it gives parents more information about the MDI and the kinds of questions that we ask. So one of the feedback that we got from parents is they would like to be more prepared for the questions that their kids might come home with after doing the survey. So this brief describes some of those questions and the rationale in more detail. Another purpose is this can be something that you can send to the parents in January just to remind them that the MDI is happening in their schools. We know that the parent letter, we advise ideally for it to go out before Christmas. So it might be, out of mind for them come January that the MDI is actually happening. So please use this resource, send it to them just as a reminder that the MDI is happening in their schools soon. Right, so from parents, let's go to survey administrators. So this resource I would like to point you to is our timeline and checklist for survey administrators. This has been sent to you probably around mid-November, December last year. It'll be sent to you again just before you start MDI administration in your schools. It's really a quick one-pager with the reminders of what you need to do prior to administering the survey. It's in a checklist format, which I know we all love. And it has all the links that you will need from the administrator guide to the training video that we have. So I hope you have this handy with you because this is something that is really quick and easy for you to look at and to remember the steps for a successful MDI administration. So for example, looking at this list right now, you can already check the first one, attend this training webinar. We'll go through all the other items in this list in the next few slides. Right, okay, so MDI administration steps. So for this one, I will divide it into two different sections. So one is preparing or preparation before the actual day of your survey administration. And then the second section would be what to do on the actual day of MDI survey administration. Okay, so of course, while you're preparing, it's also best to prepare your students. So maybe ideally a week ahead, inform your students that the MDI is happening in your school. And we have a list of materials here that can also help you prepare. So as I've mentioned, we have the survey administrator checklist, very quick and easy one-pager for you. We also have the MDI survey administration guide. So this outlines all the steps to MDI administration in detail with screenshots with all the steps. So it's very handy and good to have. For those doing the MDI in an online classroom setting, we also have an MDI administration guide for online classrooms. So this will also be emailed to you if ever, for example, closer to when you're administering the survey and you don't have a copy of this yet, please email us. We can definitely share that with you. We also have the MDI instructional survey. So this is something that you can use on the day of MDI administration to assist you in guiding the students throughout the survey. So as I've mentioned, all of these materials will be emailed to your MDI leads, and I'm sure will be shared with you as well. Right, okay, so before the day of MDI administration, what are the steps and what are the things that we need to do? So number one, password reset emails and logging into the e-MDI system so that you can do two things: review your class lists and print your student logins. So we recommend that you log into the e-MDI at least a few days before you plan to administer the survey so that you can review your class lists and also print those student passwords. If you log in and you see that some of your classrooms are not organized properly or in a way that makes sense in order for you to administer the MDI, please be in touch with us directly. So this is something that we usually see in middle or secondary schools, just with how we receive the data prior to winter break from MyEd. So we can help reorganize all of these classrooms so that they make sense for MDI administration. So this is something that we will connect with you with if you're a principal in a middle or a secondary school and you see that the classroom need reorganizing. You can either email us or we will be in touch with you next week so that we can assist in doing this reorgs of your classrooms. Okay, so first one, password reset email. So the password reset emails will be sent to you on Monday next week, right? So it will look like this. It will come from mdi@help.udc.ca. All you need to do is to click on that link so that you can create a password of your own. And this is the same password that you will use every time you need to log in the system. If ever, for example, by next week, you have not received a password reset email, you can contact us or you can also connect with your MDI leads just to make sure that we have you set up in the system. So once you have, you know your password, you've written it down somewhere just so you don't forget it. When you need to log in, you don't have to keep on going back into the password reset link. All you need to do is to go to www.mdi.udc.ca. You will see this login page and click on the teacher administrator login. Type in your email address. So the email address that you'll be using here is either your school or school district email address and the password of your choice, the one that you just did when you had to reset your password. When you click login, you will be taken to the homepage within the e-MDI system. So you will notice when you log in for the first time, you'll see this pop-up reminder regarding parent letters being sent home. So this is really just another reminder to make sure that parents have received the letter, that they have learned about what the MDI is before it actually takes place in the school. So all you need to do in this page is to add the date right over there in that box and type in the date and just click submit. Now, this, of course, it serves as a reminder. So sometimes maybe you look at this and go, oh my goodness, I haven't sent my parent letters home yet. So don't panic. There's still time for you to send them home. So for example, if you send it next week, January 9, all you need to do is count 4 weeks after. So that means you will be able to administer the survey in your school the first week of February. So the only important thing to remember there is to have 4 weeks in between when the letter goes home and when you administer the survey in your schools. If, for example, you have not sent it yet, so of course you can't put anything on the date, don't worry, the system will not dismiss you. Just click on that X on the right top hand corner of the pop-up box and it will still let you log in. But of course, the reminder will keep on popping up every time you log in because it wants to remind you that you have to send the parent letters home. We do realize, of course, that the time before winter break is very busy. We know that, and it is easy to put this thing at the very last part of your list, and we understand that. So we just want to avoid running out of time sending it out. So that's why there's that reminder every time you log in the system. All right, so you've received your password reset. You know where to log in. You have put on the date when you sent home your parent letters. So what's next? So when you log in, you will see this navigation panel on the left-hand side of your screen. It has numbers, so it's easy to follow and easy to remember. So the first thing that we do is to review our class list. So that's number one, add or withdraw students. So this is the page where you can do sort of like a cleanup of your class list, right? So for example, you're a grade 4 teacher, you see that you have 11 students in there, but oh, actually, you just got a new student a month ago, like they've been in your classroom for 30 days or more, and you want to add them. So all you need to do is click on options, click on add student. You'll just have to fill in a few information about your student, make sure that you have their pen, and then just click on save, and they will be added onto your class list. So one thing to remember is that pens has to be accurate because there cannot be duplicate pens in the system. One thing that I know you might have issues with when you log in and when you want to add a student is that sometimes a student already exists in the system because they come from a different school, for example. So if ever you encounter this kind of issue, please don't hesitate to just email us, let us know, and we can help move that student to the appropriate classroom. We're here to help, so call us, email us. And this is also the page where you can withdraw the students who will not be joining taking the survey. So if you remember, I mentioned that sometimes parents would probably give you, say, the withdrawal slips from the parent letter, or maybe they have emailed you or talked to you and said they want to withdraw the kids from doing the MDI. So this is an opportunity and a page for you to be able to do that. And most of these things, like the details, are available in the administrator's guide. There's screenshots there and steps for you to be able to do them. Right, so another thing when you log in, so you might see that some students have already been withdrawn when you're looking at your class list. So this is because we often receive emails directly from parents or calls from parents withdrawing their child. So, and sometimes maybe they just let us know and they forget to let the school know. So if you just see that red withdrawn button next to a student, this just means they will not be taking part in the survey. So you will not be able to generate a login for them, or you will not be able to add them back in your class. Okay, so we've logged in, we've reviewed our class list, everything is in order. We added all of our new students. We have gone through the withdrawal slips and we've withdrawn all of the kids not doing the MDI. So next step is for you to go to step 2 on the left-hand navigation panel right over there that says unlock survey and print passwords. So this is something that you can do beforehand, right? So when you go to this page, you can see the green button at the very end of those 3 buttons on the right-hand side. So the one that says print student logins. So all you need to do is click on that button so that you can see all of the student logins and you can print them. So this is how it would look like. So all you need to do, if you are doing this in a classroom, for example, you can print off this page. You can cut this into different smaller cards so that you can distribute this to your students come day of MDI administration. Of course, for online classrooms, it'll be quite different. So this page when you log in, when you click on Print Student Logins, this actually opens as a new tab in your browser. So all you need to do if you are doing it in an online classroom is to use the secure chat function on whatever software. It might be Zoom or Microsoft Teams. I'm sure you're more familiar with the different apps that's used for online classrooms. But please share it in a secure chat function that only the individual can see their login credentials. So as long as you can maybe log in ahead of time, just make sure that you have access to these things so that you can just copy paste those username and password to all of your students if you're doing it in an online classroom setting. Okay, so we have prepared, right? So we know the resources that we need. We have cleaned up everything. Our class lists are all set up and ready. You know your student logins, where they are at. You've printed them. You've cut them into cards. You're now ready to do it tomorrow, for example. So what do you need to do on the day of MDI administration? So usually you need 1 to 2 class periods to administer the MDI. For younger grades, maybe for grades 4 and 5, they usually would take 2 class periods. So I think a class period is 45 minutes. For older grades, grades 6, 7, or 8, sometimes they will only need 1 class period. So please allow 10 to 15 minutes for students to log in before they prepare to do the survey. And then all of these other steps we're going to go through in detail in the next few slides. Right, okay, so day of administration, you've logged in. So the next thing that you need to do is when you go on the left-hand navigation side, you go to step 2 because you need to unlock the survey. So to protect the security of all the student logins, they can only access the survey when it has been unlocked by a teacher or a principal. So if you see that blue button there that says unlock survey, when you click on this, the survey is automatically unlocked for 4 hours. So for example, you want to do the survey at 10 a.m. So you can start preparing for the day, maybe 9 o'clock when you get in, or while preparing for the day, you can already unlock the survey because you know that it will stay unlocked for 4 hours. Now, once your students are done with the survey, you can just log back in again and lock the survey. One of the questions that we get with this is, what if my student didn't finish it and I want to do it the next day? So you can unlock the survey as often as you need it. So for example, if I have 5 kids today who didn't finish and they want to do it again tomorrow, so as long as you have collected their logins from them and you can redistribute this to them the next day, all you need to do is unlock the survey, and when they log in, it will take them to the page that they last answered. So they don't have to start from scratch. It's like automatically saved. So they just go to like whatever page they ended up with on that day, and they just can continue and finish the survey. So the only important thing to remember here is on the day of, log in, go to step 2, click on that blue button that says unlock survey, and remember that it will only stay unlocked for 4 hours. This is also the page where you see that second button over there that says preview survey. So if you click on this, you can also follow along with your students while they're doing the survey. You'll see the same questions that they're doing, so that if ever you want to, if they have any questions, you can also just look at the survey on your own laptop or computer. Okay, so we've unlocked the survey. So now we have to prepare our online classroom, our computer lab, or our classrooms, right? So the survey works well on either desktops, in a computer lab, laptops, or tablet in the classroom. The best browser to use is Chrome Firefox or Safari. So even though you're in a computer lab, in a classroom, or online classroom, we want to make sure that you're setting it up under test conditions. So in a classroom, maybe make sure that there's space between the students if possible. For online classrooms, maybe make sure that they cannot do private messaging with each other. So make sure that it is under test conditions. If you have headphones available, please make sure that the students have them, because they might want to do the read aloud function. So we have an optional voiceover that will read the questions to them as they're doing the survey. So that's an option for them if they would like to. And of course, please prepare an alternate activity regarding or related to regular classroom activity for those students who are not participating. One tip is we suggest that maybe you should write the website address on the board for everyone to see, if at all possible. So if you're in a classroom, write down www.mdi.ubc.ca, or if you're already preparing all their tablets or the laptops or the Chromebooks, if you can already put it in the right website so they can just hit on student login so that it's easier for them to log in. If you are in an online classroom, maybe when you share the username and password in the secure chat function, you can also just put in the link there where they can log in so that they have everything that they need and it's easy for them to navigate the page to go to the MDI survey. Please also, we recommend informing your school counselor that the survey is taking place in case anything arises from the student or if they wish to speak with them further. This is how the student login looks like. So all they need to do is just put in the username and the password from those cards that you've cut for each individual student, and they will be able to just click on login and just see the survey right away. Okay, so as you administer the survey, as I've mentioned a while ago, there's an instructional survey to guide you and your students in completing the MDI. It is very identical to the online survey that they're doing, except it has what we call the student assent script. So we suggest to please read this aloud before you start. The assent script describes what students will be doing, and it informs them that they can choose not to participate. So it will say there that it's not a test, that there's no right or wrong answers there, that it's their choice if they want to fill out the survey, and that everything is kept confidential and private. So please, it's very important that you read aloud this assent script to the students before they start. After reading the assent script, they can start off with a survey. So you can also read aloud the questions on the demographic section, as well as the instruction section, answering the sample questions together. So after that, students can just read the questions on their own, or maybe sometimes they will request for you to explain something to them. Everything that might come up, or if you need any extra guidance, our instructional survey contains tips and instructions throughout the questions, and it will give you some tips on how you can answer some of your students' questions. So as well, we have an assent cartoon that the kids will see at the very beginning. Same thing, it tells them that it's their choice if they want to fill out the survey, that everything is kept private, and that it isn't a test. One important thing that we have also added at the very end of the instructional survey is a comprehensive list of the Indigenous nations and languages in Canada. This can be used as a reference to assist your students in responding to the questions on First Nations, Métis, and Inuit identity and languages learned and spoken at home on the MDI. We really hope that you can use this resource to support the children when they're completing the demographic sections on the MDI. Okay, so just a few tips while administering the survey. Please remain neutral If students ask for clarification, please just reread the question, and please do not provide your own interpretation to the student. Ensure their privacy and confidentiality. So we ask that you do not look at your students' responses in the survey while they're completing the survey. And so at the very end of the survey, we also have something that we call the Help for Students page. So the MDI asks questions about how they think, about how kids feel, what their lives are like inside and outside of school. So they're rather personal questions. And because of this, it's really critical to make sure that students know that they can speak to a caring adult at school if they're having some problems. Hence, they can press the first blue button that you see there if they want to talk to their teacher or principal. We also added there, so you can see the kids' help phone. And so if the student clicks on yes, I would like to talk to my teacher or principal, an email is sent directly to the classroom teacher and principal with the name of the student that requested for help. So please follow your school's protocol for following up with students, and you do not need to let us know help. You don't need to let help know about the outcome of the follow-up. So this is what the email will look like if you've received one. Just as an example, it has the name of the student and also the background as to why you're receiving the email. Lastly, we love to hear from you, and we really appreciate feedback. And who better, provide us with feedback, but of course, all of you who are in the field and administering the survey to the students. So we really appreciate if you can give us feedback after you've done the survey, and it'll be kept anonymous and used to really improve the MDI administration process, and also our resources for future years. Lastly, if you're interested to learn more about the MDI, if you would like to see resources, we have a Discover MDI website. If ever you would like to see even previous reports, this is also the place where you can find them. There's lots of resources there, even getting started with MDI, some essentials and some resources. So please visit our website if ever you have any questions. Of course, you can always connect with us. Reports are going to be available in spring of 2023. Of course, we'll send email closer to with more information. So please stay tuned and watch out for that. And that is it. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I hope there wasn't a lot of questions, Merit. But if ever you need to reach us, our phone numbers are here. And our email, mdi@help.ubc.ca. We have access, both of us have access to our email. So please let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to, of course, help you with any questions on MDI administration. And if there are any questions, please type it in the Q&A. Merit, were there any questions that's good to share with everybody?
I think, can you hear me? I think the one that is the one about, yes, this can be done on an iPad. It can be done on a computer. It can even be done on an iPhone. It's not ideal, but it is doable. So, Chromebooks, that is one question that has been coming in a bit. We do have some questions about online learners, because we know we have a few online schools with us today, and so that has been done in the past in other classrooms, in other online classrooms, and I haven't seen it how it actually works, but it really is set up your classroom like you would an ordinary classroom as much as possible. We don't advise that you send, for example, your student passwords via email, but that you can share them on whatever platform you're on, whether that be on Zoom or what's the other one? I can't even think right now. But yes, we ask that you share them in private chats with the students so that each student, every student gets their own password, and that it's not like can't be shared with anybody else, just like it would if you handed out a little slip in the classroom and you know, you know that they get their proper password to log in. And I'm not sure if that completely answers how it's done in an online classroom, but we have actually had quite success during the pandemic with remote learners doing the MDI in a remote learning setting.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss something, Kim?
No, I think that's exactly it. Like, I understand that there are different applications to do the online classroom, but as long as you can share the logins in a secure way, that will be really ideal. And I understand there was one question, if they're all in a Zoom room together. I think as long as, because technically that's like a classroom. As long as you're there, there's a teacher, and you know, they can all go to their browser, type in the website, log in, and do the survey on their own. That works.
If people are looking for our resources, I really recommend that you go to our admin blog. That's where you can find, we did send all those resources out to the districts yesterday, so they should be forwarding them on to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're very keen to get going, then you can also go to our admin blog and find your resources there. Just recognizing that there are some different survey versions due to, you know, different provinces participating. So you just have to make sure you get the right survey version if that's where you go. But the admin guide is definitely, and checklists and all those resources are the same across.
Mm-hmm.
We will hang here for a bit in case other people have questions and you just think of something that you want to know, or you can, of course, just email us too.
Mm-hmm. I just see that one question from Carla. The letter said grade 4, but I read something that said grade 5. So Carla, maybe you can email us, let us know like which school or district you're in, and we can make sure that you get the correct resource and the correct parent letter.
We tried this year to make the parent letters really just reflect the grade that is participating. But if there's confusion, that's not good. So if you're working with a district, then let us know. We can tell you what grades your district is participating with. And the same, actually, if you're in an independent school, we can tell you what you're participating with. Okay, and our admin guide should be available now. So I will look into that, and maybe Alan, I can send you the link directly.
Yeah, and I think Amanda also posted it in the chat.
Okay.
Thanks, Amanda.
And I'm just catching up to these questions. No, great questions. Keep them coming. We will try and get all your login information out Monday morning. I know some of you are very keen to get going. We've learned in the past that it's not smart to send this out before the weekend because the links actually don't last very long. So by the time people try and read their Monday email,
it's already expired.
Experience. So, and also we don't open, the survey is not really open until the 10th. So, but as soon as you can log in, you can start looking at your class lists and print out passwords and do all that. Well, almost everybody's left.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.